Hi, how are you doing? Welcome to another session of our SAP training. Remember to like and follow us on YouTube and other social media platforms. It's your SAP consultant, Kelechi Adiele, and we're actually going to be going through an exciting journey in SAP S4 HANA Finance, and we're going to actually see the CEO. It's actually we're going to be looking at those two. And also, the essence of this video is to take us through the different configurations that happen within the SAP S4 HANA Finance and CEO space. And we're starting this training, and we hope that we're going to learn and improve our skills. So it's going to be basically on configuration of the S4 HANA Finance system. The focus is within the finance space. And we hope that please stay tuned and subscribe to our channels to see. We did an extensive video on the S4 HANA system in full, but we're going to be focusing here on the finance space, and in the finance, we're going to actually be looking at the configurations. From the configuration to actually look at the end user functionality. So why not join me on this journey and let's see what the configuration is all about. Let's look at the basic requirements. Let's know what the finance is all about and what the expectations are. Let's see the phases, of implementation. Let's understand what is required, before we actually start our configuration. So this is the part one. Please look forward to other parts of this video. You can get that when you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Now let's look at, well, in our previous video, we talked a lot about the S4 HANA interface or the S4 HANA software. S4 HANA is SAP's current enterprise application suite. It was first released in 2015. The platform is considered the biggest change to SAP's core offering since the introduction of the R3 system in 1992. So this is giving us an idea of how far SAP has actually come, of course, within the ERP space. SAP S4 HANA was originally released as a next generation financial solution. So the focus was on finance. Of course, finance is the core of every module. In 2014 SAP HANA Technology Conference in Florida under the name SAP Simple Finance. 9 months later, SAP announced that it was expanding the core of the solutions to become a full-scale enterprise resource planning platform. So the idea was to support the finance, as it's a module. And of course, the plan changed, and SAP saw the need to actually have a full-fledged ERP system. It named this SAP S4 HANA. Wow. With specific core lines of business, tacked on the end of this suite. That is, you have SAP S4 Finance, SAP S4 Material Management, Sales and Distribution, but our focus is on SAP S4 HANA Finance. Okay, so innovative features. And pardon me to make this change. This should be SAP, sorry. Finance. So we have to actually take note of that. Okay, the innovative features. Innovative features of the first release of SAP S4 HANA Finance included the Universal Journal. Please make reference to our previous video on the introduction to S4 HANA. You're going to see and appreciate the major changes that has happened within the S4 HANA Finance space. But we're going to summarize that here. Of course, the Universal Journal was a major change, which actually provides a single source of truth for finance and management, accounting, documentations, and of course, another modules like asset accounting. This led to a better reporting, easy access to KPI utilized by managers, cockpit tailored to specific end users to help them make more informed decisions. And of course, we would not leave out the introduction of Fiori that made life and navigation and user experience a wonderful adventure. Since then, SAP had continuously built upon the foundation of S4 HANA Finance. Majorly yearly releases have added new innovative functionality to the solution. And as at 2019, SAP's S4 HANA Finance latest feature included improved financial closing capability, centralized payables and receivables, predictive accounting, and more embedded analytics. Of course, the use of AI and machine learning. Now, changes, we're just going to look at a few of them. SAP was clear from the beginning that the simple in finance, in the SAP Finance first interaction was multifaceted. Those using the new solution would find not only automatic up-to-date minute financial reporting, but a streamlined data model and a lightweight architecture. Of course, reduced data footprints as a result of the relegation of the index and aggregate tables. The initial FICO functionality improved upon the existing ERP. This included updated financial planning and analysis, accounting and financial close, treasury and risk management, of course, cash management, cooperative finance operations, enterprise risk, compliance, audit management, and a lot of other very innovative features. Now, of course, some of these features, please refer back to our video on S4 HANA. Introduced, a single source of truth, which is the universal table, and of course the compatibility views. An aggregate total of all financial data across department, ledgers, and even continents. This was enabled by SAP S4 HANA, SAP HANA ability to store large amounts of data in memory, the in-memory functionality of the S4 HANA database, and to produce analytic reports at a moment's notice for anyone with access who wanted it. This provided immediate value to accountants looking at current and past activity, of course, to project managers running complex projects on tight schedules, and of course, to planners looking to utilize the past and present numbers to forecast future expectations. Wow, these have been some of the very important changes that has happened within the SAP S4 HANA Finance space. Now, other features include smaller data, total data footprint, higher throughputs, faster analysis and reporting. This came most basically at because of the compatibility views, which resulted to the relegation of index and aggregate tables. Unlimited workload capacity, multi-tenancy, and a very beautiful Fiori user experience. SAP Finance deployment options. You can deploy on-premise, on the cloud. Of course, you can have a hybrid deployment option. Now, for migrations, depending on, of course, what the business requirements are, you have greenfield projects where where the client is actually migrating from a non-SAP system to an SAP platform. So that's a greenfield implementation. Brownfield implementation could be migrating from ECC, which is a previous SAP version, to S4 HANA, and other legacy system might also be drawn to this approach rather than starting from scratch. SAP best practice, guided configuration, and SAP Activate methodology. Before you go into configuration of SAP, it is important you understand these processes that has just been talked about. It's important to understand where SAP is coming from. It's important to understand the migration options. It's important to understand the best practice, the guided configuration, and the SAP Activate methodology. These are three core areas, that are key to actually deploying or providing support or solutions to a business client. SAP has introduced SAP Activates methodology, a framework to enable SAP project managers or consultants across the globe to deliver projects with ease and clarity. A common misconception about the SAP fraternity is that SAP Activate is a project management methodology. It is much more than that. It is the core of how you implement, or the phases you need to go through in implementing an SAP system. Of course, it uses project management skills and project management ideas and skills. Now, the three pillars of SAP. Let's look at the three pillars of SAP Activate framework. For all users, if you're new to SAP, if you're a super user trying to be a consultant, if you're going straight into consultant, you need to understand these pillars of the Activate framework. The first is SAP best practice. You need to, and of course, these are new innovations that have come with SAP S4 HANA. You would not see these applications in the ECC platform. Now, the pillars are: number one, SAP best practice, which you should be aware of. Number two, guided configurations. Configurations go through some guided processes. Number three, the SAP Activate methodology that shows you the steps for the processes you need to go through when you're actually deploying your SAP system. These three phases together can empower project managers and consultants, and even the business end users, to easily understand the SAP solution that is implemented to solve their business pain points. So everybody is involved in understanding. It's important for everybody, project managers, the end users, the business, the consultants, to actually understand these three pillars of SAP Activate framework. Now let's find out what these three pillars are. Number one, best practice. SAP, with their 40+ years of widely accepted industry-specific best practice knowledge and experience, has delivered ready-to-run business processes that are optimized for the SAP S4 HANA. Now, what this means is that SAP already has ready-to-run business processes embedded within the SAP S4 HANA application. These business processes are well documented and pre-delivered by SAP and can be viewed in the Best Practice Explorer. They consist of best practices for integration, migration, extensibility to expand the existing processes with customers' own processes. The Best Practice Explorer provides consultants and customers with all the best practice across the business, the line of business or line of businesses, in the form of business process flows, roles, and responsibility. So the Explorer just provides consultants and customers with the best practices that has to do with the business process flow and roles and responsibilities, the standard test scripts that also work as a user manual. These form the first pillar of the SAP Activate framework. So these business process flows are important. They need to be studied. The roles and responsibilities of every stakeholder within the project, the standard test scripts that are like manuals that SAP has delivered. These are key, and they are the first pillars that are important to the SAP Activate framework. You can get this through the SAP Practice Explorer. You can go to the official website and get this information. Guided configuration. SAP provides users with standard configurations that can be used to run business processes. Additionally, for customer-specific requirements, SAP. So SAP already has within the system a business process that may fit a standard process that may fit the process of a client. However, there are some processes within SAP that might need to be, further improved or further, fine-tuned. And, guided configuration also offers capabilities, additionally for customers specific requirement. SAP is providing a self-service configuration user experience. And you have, of course, have the ABAP team that can, business processes that does not fit into the standard process. Of course, you have documents like the RISEF, which you use to document those processes. You have to discuss with the ABAP team and, design those processes appropriately. The guided configuration also offers capabilities of content lifecycle management that essentially involves looking at the configuration setting and ensure that the configuration settings that are set in that solution are not impacted by new versions of best practices or new versions of processes that were being shipped into the next release of the SAP solution. So SAP from time to time have new releases on their applications. I think the best practice ensures that these new releases does not affect the core or the core configuration settings of another existing or a previous existing release. This is just really important in the cloud where the release cycle is much more compressed. So best practice and guided configuration is key. SAP Activate methodology is a next generation project implementation methodology used to implement and deliver SAP innovations and solutions. It is built on the agile methodology. SAP Activate methodology takes an iterative approach to continuous improvement or continuously improve and deliver to increase project quality and assures success of that project. So that methodology is an agile methodology, and it's key for before you begin your journey into SAP or before you begin your learning SAP or doing your configurations, you need to also have an idea of what these methodologies are. So let's look at the SAP Activate methodology. SAP Activate methodology is a modular and agile framework that helps project teams with detailed steps needed to deliver in each phase through the project by providing accelerators, which makes work easier to accomplish tasks of a deliverable and work stream which spans across various phases. SAP Activate methodology has 6 phases to it. So let's look at these six phases, and this will help us as we begin our journey into configuring SAP in our journey into the configuration of SAP. Number 1 is discover. Number 2 is to prepare. So these are phases that the project managers and all the stakeholders, especially the consultants, would have to observe during their implementation of the SAP S4 HANA solution, finance solution. Explore, realize, deploy, and run. Discover, you have to, of course, discover is basically the process of meeting your client and discovering what SAP is all about. Prepare is to set up and do your enablement. Explore is to find the fit to standard analysis. Do your configurations. Realize you have to migrate and integrate data from the extensions or the configurations that have been done based on the business and the business blueprint that has been developed. You have to test those configurations or those migrations. You have to deploy. Deploy is to onboard and make the system to start running. And you have the run where you do your train, operate, and support. Because at the deploy phase, you should have done your training. Now let's look into details into these phases in a few minutes before we go deep into the configuration. The discovery phase or discover phase help customers to get familiar with the SAP S4 HANA before starting a project to implement SAP S4 HANA. It is very important. It's the first phase of the agile methodology or the activate methodology. During this phase, customers can apply for free trial solutions if available and try it out for themselves to check the features and functionality of the solution, which helps them to understand the business value and benefit of SAP S4HANA for the organization and to determine SAP implementation strategy. Very, very important, excuse me. Now, this phase also enables the business users to prepare the business case for implementing SAP S4HANA Finance in this case, as well as preparing the deployment roadmap or what we call the business blueprint of the digital transformation journey. Excuse me. So it is a very important phase and it prepares the business for the journey ahead. And of course, enables the business to understand what SAP S4 HANA Finance is all about, and also help them make decisions. Prepare phase, of course, once the client is fine with SAP and they are ready to go to get on the project, the next phase happens, which is the prepare phase. As the name suggests, this phase is crucial to both the customers, the partners, as key activities that are crucial to the success of the project are completed with mutual consent. Sorry. With mutual consent. The system is provisioned to the customers post-signing of contract with SAP and partners. Simultaneously, key resources are identified from the partner side in terms of the SAP consultants getting onboarded and enabled. In this phase also, we have the initial project planning starts, where project plan for SAP S4HANA implementation is defined, which includes team assignments, defining project goals, the scope of the project, the budget, the roles, the responsibilities, the project timelines, trainings, and all these details are captured in the project charter for mutual consent for customers and partners. So we have a project charter, which is like a document that captures all the necessary initial phase of the project planning. The sandbox system is also done with SAP best practices. Explore. The business user explores the SAP best practice and standard business process. Of course, the consultants can do a demo and show how this can work using the standard business processes. Sample data provided by company is also provided to enable the business users to run end-to-end processes to evaluate how closely a standard solution meets with the company's business needs. So there has to be that, time when in this phase, there's the prototype is done and there are back-to-back meetings between the business and the consultant on how the standard process can meet with the business process within the organization. The business users and the SAP consulting firm agree on the configurable objects required for the company, and the same will be captured in the KDS, that's key data structures or key design structures, and the business process document. So we have seen the first document, which is the project charter. We have seen the next document, which is the key data structure or the key design structure. We have also seen the business process document. So take notes of these documents. They are very important during the implementation phase of your SAP. The next is the fit to gap analysis, which helps to identify the gaps that the standard S4HANA is unable to offer. So you have to have your RISEF objects. RISEF, it's basically a term that is used to capture processes that do not fit into the standard. So you have the you have the forms, you have the reports, you have, workflows and the rest of them. So all these are captured, and also, of course, these are shared with the ABAP team, and those activities would be customized to fit with the business needs. Most times, of course, you have to have third-party applications if that doesn't happen, or if that standard cannot be configured. Other activities include master data loading, preparation, SAP testing plan, SAP test planning, and trainings can get started. Of course, the preparation has to be on top gear. Realize the project team build, test and validate the business scenarios that have been that has been put forward, and the processes identified in the previous phase along with the end users. Of course, this is the realize phase. So configuration has been done. It is time to test these processes with both the super users and the end users. End user steering is also planned so that relevant end users are engaged at the right time and be trained only in their specific areas of working. Multiple levels of testing happens. We have unit testing, string text testing, integration testing, user acceptance testing is performed to ensure that the SAP system is configured according to the customer requirements provided by the business process owners. Data migration testing is also done to ensure that data is filled in by the business users. Of course, data that is provided are correct and the correct format, and of course, you have to do your data migration. Of course, we have 3 of these clients in SAP. You have the development clients, you have the quality clients, and they have the production clients. When you're doing your configuration, you start at the development client. Once that development is done, it is in the realize phase, is moved to the quality clients where the testing of all these activities are done. Once that is finished and it's ready to go live, data are migrated to the production client, which is the main client that the users will actually process their transactions from. Now, a cutover plan is made to move the configurations. RIFF objects and master and transaction data are moved to the production system, which will be the system used by the business in real time. This signifies the end of the realize phase. Deploy. In the deploy phase, once every checkbox is ticked and everything is ready, the business faces a temporary downtime as the new SAP system is deployed for usage to the business users. This is typically done during a weekend, ensure that customers have little to no effect due to the downtime. The cutover is a process that sometimes gives consultants sleepless nights, as this is the culmination of all their hard work being moved into the SAP system for the usage of an entire organization. It's huge. Once the cutover is done successfully and checked by the partner and the customer, the business users are supported by the consultants and the key users, who now form the first line of defense in the case users have doubt or face any issue. Of course, we have the handholding and the go-live support. The customers and partners can now relish the success of the project through the intense time filled with dedication and hard work from all the stakeholders involved. The last phase, which is the run phase, signifies the end of the customer's life cycle, identifying a solution for the business need to finally implement the solution and run their business processes at the same time. In the run phase, customers project team are given only one task: to be updated with the latest innovation and technologies in SAP. Of course, the area of course, it doesn't end. There is continuous learning and improvement within the SAP system. Now, SAP Activate has matured to be a great methodology to be used for the SAP S4 HANA implementation and conversion project. Everyone who has been in a project knows how difficult it is to touch from start to finish line. SAP Activate has really helped project managers and consultants across the globe complete projects successfully at a much faster rate. And I would say a very good yes. It is indeed, it's been indeed being helpful. I want to thank SAP for actually giving us this methodology that has really helped, a lot of us to, you know, stay focused, to have a direction and a guide and and a purpose to implementing SAP S4 HANA projects. Okay, so this is about what you need to know about S4 HANA and the training. For the training, we're going to be looking at the executing projects, the enterprise structures. We'll look at cross-application clients. We'll look at in financial accounting. We'll look at global settings, the GL accounting, accounting, balance accounting, asset accounting. Of course, in the controlling area, we're going to look at these other concepts. And I'm sure you that it's going to be a lovely journey. I would always say that the student has 80% of the responsibility. You need to take your job seriously. You need to ask questions. You need to, practice and practice and practice. Okay, so thank you very much for finding time to, go through this session. And remember, you can reach me. Remember to like and share this video on YouTube so that other users and other people who are interested in, finding the way into SAP can understand these various phases. You can also reach me, send me an email or do me a WhatsApp on the number on your screen. Thank you very much for finding time to go through. And I do wish you a lovely day. Remember to stay tuned to the part 2 where we shall start our configuration and we're going to be looking at executing projects. Go to the back end and start, working. Let me show you what the SAP looks like. Make sure my screen. Okay, I believe you can see my screen now. So this is me trying to log into SAP. Of course, before you come to this phase, you should have had access to the app. This is what the app looks like. Part of your training will be to, give you access to the training app or to the training software where you can log in. You just double click on the client or the server you're logging into. You'll be provided with all those informations. So when you double click on that, like I say, the concept of client, when the development client and that client is client 400, you'll be provided with a username and a password from where you need to log in. So I'm logging in now. So this has actually taken me to SAP. This is what we call the user interface. We have lots of tabs. Part of the training will be to take you through these various tabs and what they represent. And also your menu bar in SAP. And also for the customizing, like we said, for consultants, the process starts with the configuration at the back, where you have the enterprise structure. We have some configurations to do, master data configurations at the cross-application components. We have the finance configurations, and then we have the controlling, which is management accounting configurations. And of course, these processes, we're going to go through them one step at a time. So thank you very much for your time, and do have a lovely day. Look out for the part 2 of this video where we shall begin with the process of configuration, configuring or process of configuration for our SAP S4 HANA system. Thank you very much, and do have a nice day.